What's up everyone, how are you all? Today we are back with another blazing Naruto story. What if Naruto summons the Kyuubi in front of the council? If you enjoy then please like, share and do comments. And also check the description to original creator of this beautiful creation. Flashback. Naruto was fighting Sasuke on a lake when Sasuke said, "Naruto, for the last time. I'll kill you if you get in my way or Orochimaru's." But Sasuke, Orochimaru doesn't care about you. All he wants is to overtake you. Why won't you listen? Even if you're telling the truth, at least I get revenge on my brother. Do you think Orochimaru cares if you get your revenge? What about? Sasuke interrupted shouting, "You'll have to take me back by force." Naruto realized there was nothing he could do. Fine. Forming a Rasengan, Naruto was able to find an open spot in Sasuke to attack. But then, Sakura found the two and saw Naruto charge with a death attack for Sasuke, and she shouted, "Naruto! Stop, how could you try to kill Sasuke?" Loosing his grip, Naruto missed Sasuke, who then kicked him in the head and sent him through the trees. Sasuke ran off and left Sakura with Naruto. Waking up with a red mark on his face, Naruto was shouted at by Sakura, "Naruto! It's all your fault. Now Sasuke will never come back." End flashback. So first thing wrong. 1. Naruto couldn't bring Sasuke back for the third time. Second. 2. Sakura hates Naruto for attempting to knock out Sasuke when he never intended to kill him. Walking down the street, Naruto was given mean glares from villagers around him, this time though, more than usual. Thinking of his rejection, Naruto remembered the third problem. 3. The villagers despised Naruto for returning to the village after the 2.5 years. Why should he have come back? It didn't matter. There was no reason to stay in Konoha anyway, except Sakura, Tsunade, and Hinata. As for Jiraiya, Naruto always traveled with him. Tsunade was the Hokage, but can't control the villagers who hate him. Then remembering, Naruto took out the necklace Tsunade bought and gave him. Maybe he could make things better. The next day, Naruto found himself in the local park. He tied the first Hokage's necklace to a small box and looked for Sakura. When finding her at the bridge, Naruto said, "Sakura-chan, I'm sorry if I disappointed you again, I'll do better next time." Naruto gave the sour-faced Sakura the present and she examined it for just a second. She then hit him in the face, knocking him off the bridge, shouting, "I held this from you for a long time, Naruto. I told Sasuke this a long time ago. You enjoy my pain. All you do is meddle with others' lives. I want you to leave me alone. Nobody wants to be with you." Sakura, with her extreme strength, crushed the first Hokage's necklace in two, and threw it into the water, back to Naruto. That was it. Sakura passed the line. Naruto had chuckled, making Sakura scream, "What's so funny, fool? You never told Sasuke that. What do you know? Faye, that was me who you told. Say something I don't know." Naruto disappeared, and at the scene, villagers were laughing and smirking. A lady approached Sakura and asked, "Has that boy done anything to you?" Sakura smirked and said, "Yes, he has. All my time he's been pestering me. And I made sure he won't do it again." A man in the back smiled evilly and asked, "What's your name, girl?" "Sakura Haruno, sir. Thank you. I'll be on my way." While walking back to his apartment, Naruto walked by the tavern district, where which men were drunk and their kids were running loose. Naruto was hit with a rock, thrown by a boy who was probably told to do that from his drunk father. Throwing the rock back at the boy, Naruto knocked the kid on his feet. But hey, what would the father do? Thought Naruto emotionless. Arriving at his apartment, Naruto entered his mind. "Hey Fox, what do you want?" "Nothing, just came to talk." "Why should I talk to you? I thought it would get lonely in here. You got nerve entering my cage. Can I ask you something?" "What the hell is it? What do you do when things go wrong? Either you make it better or start over." "Okay then, thanks." The next day, Naruto listened to Kyuubi's strangely helpful advice and went to settle some things. When he reached Team 7's training grounds, Naruto met up with Sai, Sakura, and Kakashi. "Good news everybody," said Kakashi. "What is it? New makeout paradise?" "Haha, no. Starting today, I'll be back in my old Anbu position, but during the day, I train you three." Everyone nodded and at the end of the day, Naruto walked up to Sakura and said, "Listen, Sakura. I know we. Listen, Naruto. I don't want to talk to you right now. Please leave me alone, okay?" Realizing Sakura didn't hit him, Naruto already made progress, and decided to leave Sakura alone. On the way back home, Naruto passed by a crowd of people who were all signing a paper a man was showing on a desk. Maybe it's a voting stand, thought Naruto. Knowing that he was never able to vote in regular community things, Naruto transformed into an average boy to observe the paper. On it, the paper said, "Yesterday, Uzumaki Naruto was seen molesting Haruno Sakura. From this boy's history, I have decided to write a petition to the council in favor of banning or executing Uzumaki Naruto. All in favor of this idea please sign below." Looking at the bottom of the paper, Naruto could see it was filled with signatures, and not only that, stapled to the first paper was another with even more signatures. All these people want me gone And Sakura, she probably knew of this. They all want me dead, thought Naruto lifelessly. Looking at the man responsible, little did Naruto know, he was the man who had confronted Sakura and asked for her name. If they want me gone, they'll get their wish, thought Naruto walking to his home. When he reached his apartment, he immediately packed a bag with clothing and food. When night fell, Naruto wrote a letter and placed it on his bed. On second thought, Naruto crumbled up the paper and chucked it in the trash. Then he started a new letter and placed it in an envelope. Then he wrote an address and slipped the necklace into it. When he opened his door, Naruto said, "No more, I don't want to have anything to do with this place anymore." Now outside, Naruto placed his letter in the send box. Reaching the gate, he could see that 5 Anbu were guarding the gate. Naruto tried to penetrate the wall but fell into a trap net. Coming up to him, the Anbu saw him dangling in the air and chuckled, all but one. Naruto said, "I'm leaving, you should be happy." The Anbu chuckled and said, "We can assassinate you right here." Looking into Kyuubi, Naruto said with an emotionless voice, "Help me get out." Understood. Naruto was temporarily shrouded in dark red chakra, which burned up the net. Immediately, the tallest Anbu did some seals and then the others fell asleep. "They'll wake up and forget what happened. Why are you helping me?" asked Naruto. "If you want to go, get moving now." Naruto thanked the man behind the dog mask and ran off through the forest. "Naruto, sorry it came to this," said Kakashi. The next morning, from here on out, there are no more changes. When Konoha's Chunin rookies woke up and arrived at the academy, they all searched for the blonde-haired ninja. The clock hit noon and a sound went off in the building. All the kids turned their attention to the announcement, "Uzumaki Naruto has gone missing. Take your time to search the city for him." "Thanks." The ninjas sprung into action and searched for an hour when they heard another announcement, "You may cease searching for Naruto." At 3, Sakura went down to Tsunade's for her daily workout. Arriving, Sakura could see Tsunade rummaging through some items. "What are those?" asked Sakura. "These are things that Naruto left in his house." Sakura observed the desk and didn't see many things. Naruto apparently. Before Tsunade could finish, a council member brought Tsunade her daily mail. Tsunade took the letters and threw them back as she read who sent them. Once she reached the last one, her eyes widened and she ripped the envelope open, dropping from inside the necklace, which seemed to be tampered with, as though it was broken once. As Tsunade read the letter while biting her nails, Sakura said, "Naruto tried to give me that dumb necklace and say he'll help me. I just want him to leave me alone." At the very moment Sakura finished her sentence, Tsunade analyzed the note, Sakura's comment, and the shattered necklace. And Tsunade's deduction wasn't good. "Sakura, this note is a letter that Naruto sent. He left the village." Sakura didn't believe what she was hearing and Tsunade continued. "You say you've seen him recently and what did you do?" Sakura realized the extreme line she's crossed and didn't want to answer. So Tsunade answered for her. The letter reads that Naruto has been mistreated and offended. "Tell me right now, Haruno Sakura. Tell me what you did to Naruto." Sakura again fell silent and bit her lip. "This necklace is made of the hardest stones in the land. Only 2 people in this entire village could have broke it. They are myself and you." Sakura said, "It's just that." Tsunade interrupted shouting, "This necklace was my most precious heirloom and I gave it to Naruto as a gift. This necklace you destroyed belonged to my ancestry of the first Hokage. You broke Naruto's heart." Sakura closed her eyes and thought Tsunade would attack her. Instead she turned around and said, "Just go, all right? Don't come back tomorrow. I need some time to think." Sakura knew what she'd done and felt stabs of guilt each time she took a breath, She didn't deserve anything right now, and neither did the villagers. Tsunade alerted the council and they brought in Hitaki Kakashi and the 4 other Anbu. "Kakashi," said Tsunade, "last night you were on guard duty for Konoha's gates. Did you see anyone penetrate the wall?" "No, Tsunade-sama, not one person seen all night." "What about you Anbu? Did you see anything?" They all shook their heads in disapproval. Tsunade dismissed them and outside while reading the letter over and over again. Kakashi sighed and thought, "Good luck Naruto. You're better off out there anyway." Naruto had been traveling from the city non-stop for an entire 2 days. He passed the border and decided that he'd be out of Konoha's reach. Sitting down against a tree, Naruto thought, "I wonder which village I'll reach now. I've been heading north all this time. Should have headed east to the wave village, too late now." Naruto looked up at the sky and realized a thunderstorm was approaching. He took shelter in a nearby cave. As the rain fell, temperature in the cave dropped very low, making Naruto shiver. "What's wrong scum?" asked the Kyuubi from inside Naruto. Naruto didn't reply, he just slept on the cold floor, completely ignoring Kyuubi's taunts. "The village has always treated you like this. See, I was right. Not that I'm sorry for you, but they really should appreciate you if you could hold up me, hee." There was no arguing, Naruto agreed completely. "Hey Fox," said Naruto, "you're going to like this." Naruto took off his Hite 8 headband while pulling out a kunai. Scratching the headband with his kunai, Naruto left a big cut that went across the metal. The headband looked like Itachi's now. Naruto was quiet for a moment then shouted, "I'm going far away." "Where?" "I don't know yet. As far as I can go." "I have a suggestion." "What is it?" Kyuubi jumped in his cage, "You are going to take my advice." Naruto's eyes showed no life as he said, "Lead the way." Kyuubi smirked and said, "It's about time you learn your place. First, you head northeast. Then when you reach the Kumo village, Cloud Village, there is a settlement in the country." Quote, Naruto pondered and looked at his map and told Kyuubi, "This would work, but isn't the Cloud Village Konoha's enemy?" Kyuubi started chuckling and said, "You aren't a Konoha ninja anymore. They will take you in if you can earn your salt. So I take a test and they'll make me a citizen of the village?" "Yes. In this village, it's different. Their wind-based moves originated in the land now known as the Cloud Village. Cultural diffusion changed their regular ninja practices. Although many of them now practice lightning-based moves, many have a handful of wind-based attacks as well. If we want to take any chances, it's there. Hee. Maybe if you promise to be their little Jinchuruki toy, I'm sure they'll let you in, but as I said, you'll have to be able to get in and convince them. This is the best we can do since we left the village without thinking." "Fine, we'll go. Anywhere is better than Konoha." "So you're serious about this thing? You're not going to back out?" "Have I ever backed out of anything?" Konoha next morning. Tsunade was running to the stage of the town square. Everyone in the village attended the announcement under order. "People of Konoha," started Tsunade, "Naruto Uzumaki has left the village." Suddenly an outburst of cheers came from the people of Konoha and people began to drink booze in joy. "This isn't good," shouted Tsunade at the top of her voice. Everyone jumped at her screams and so did some Anbu. "Naruto Uzumaki was tormented by you villagers all his life and if I had anything to do about it, I would have banned this discrimination." The villagers' cheers turned into discouragement. "The demon is gone. Who would care for a beast? Our village is safe, as well as our children," said some of the villagers. Tsunade clutched her fist tight and slammed it to the floor, destroying the stage. "Naruto is not a demon. He was just a boy trying to make your lives better. What respect did you show him? Do you know who stopped Shukaku? Do you know who convinced me to become Hokage? Do you know who is risking his life every day for the Uchiha boy and you people who don't deserve it?" All the villagers looked down in embarrassment, others left. It was Naruto. "He's no demon. How do you feel to have a real demon sealed inside you? Would you want it to be treated the way you did to him? He never even had parents. Yet you assholes whip him around and treat him like dirt." Tsunade quickly looked at Sakura, then some people in the crowd, and left to the council building. Naruto. When Naruto had reached the borderline of the second village he arrived in, Kyuubi said, "Now pass this village and you reach the clouds." Naruto nodded and continued through the forest. After an hour and a half of walking, Naruto came across a dead end in the forest. He'd reached a coastline. In front of him, there was a large cliff and it scaled high, wide to the point that it traveled through the ocean. The only way through was a cave at the foot of the mountain. What do you think? No problem. Naruto's eyes turned red and he could see perfectly in the cave. Cool, I believe Konoha has given up by now, good. Kyuubi nodded in his cage and Naruto entered the cave. The second he stepped in, Naruto fell down a hole disguised with genjutsu. Naruto kept falling into the pitch-dark abyss until he hit his head against a hard rock. He slowly got up but fell back to his knees unconscious. Slowly waking up, Naruto was tied up in chakra chains by none other than Kabuto. Up early Naruto? Kyuubi's help no doubt. Naruto sneered and looked up at a tall, dark man, who had a boy Naruto's age at his side. Orochimaru laughed and asked, "How'd you find me so early, Naruto?" Sasuke was chuckling and Naruto said, "I'm just passing by, let me go." Orochimaru flinched back and asked, "So you gave up on retrieving Sasuke?" Naruto smirked and replied, "Nah, I'm taking vacation." "Then I guess I can kill you now?" asked Sasuke. "Your call." Sasuke was shocked. Never before has Naruto let Sasuke call the shots without arguing. "What happened?" asked Sasuke suddenly concerned. Naruto laughed like never before and said after stopping, "I'm like you now. Missing Nin and everything. I'll probably be in the bingo book soon." "You left. Do I have to say it again? Are you joking? There are probably Leaf Nins outside guarding the entrance." Naruto frowned sarcastically. "Nope, I'm in deep shit. Just like you. Some promises are fulfilled when you least expect it." Orochimaru started laughing and Sasuke stood frozen. Naruto smiled and asked, "What's wrong, Sasuke-kun? Fox got your tongue? I'll leave him to you, Sasuke." Orochimaru left the room. After a minute of silence, Naruto broke it, "Come on, Sasuke. Kill me. Hurry it up." Sasuke was in deep denial. "You can't be Naruto." "Of course I am. The Dobi, Loser, Dunce, the goddamn list goes on." Sasuke listened to Naruto continue for about 10 more seconds, "Clown, oh and my favorite. Dead last." Naruto then felt a big hit on the head. "Stop it now. The real Naruto doesn't take those insults from anyone. Now he does. Oh yeah, I forgot to add these nicknames to my list." Sasuke jerked a tear as Naruto said, "Outcast, fool, clueless." Sasuke's fist clutched tight, Jinchuruki. On the edge, Sasuke was pushed off by Naruto's final statement, "No. Not Jinchuruki. I'm a goddamn Biju. Biju is tailed demon." Inside, Kyuubi said, "Kit, sorry." Naruto inside chuckled and said, "Don't worry about it, besides, what I just said is true. I'll make it up to you." Sasuke then shouted, "Naruto. What the hell happened?" Walking in the room, a teared Orochimaru said, "Sasuke, come." Orochimaru saw Naruto still alive. "You didn't kill him?" Naruto shook his head and said, "Sasuke is afraid, do it for him." Sasuke left out the door and Orochimaru said, "In due time." After 5 minutes of silence, Naruto started talking to Kyuubi. "Yo, I think I know how you can make it up to me, Kyuubi. What do you have in?" Kyuubi was shocked. "You didn't call me bastard fox?" "Nah, we're going to have to settle this feud. Anyway, I need you to concentrate your chakra in my arm." With Orochimaru and Sasuke. "What do you need me for, sensei?" asked Sasuke. "Well, I need a favor." "What kind?" "It's about time you gave me collateral for the power I gave you." Sasuke's eyes widened and tried to escape, but was taken down by Kabuto's medical jutsu. "You aren't going anywhere, Sasuke-kun," said Kabuto. "Naruto was right, all this time, you just wanted to use me." Orochimaru chuckled and said, "Sorry, people mad for power come to me and I make sure I get a reward. Anyways, so sorry you'll never fulfill your goal, time ran short. Here is where I start to change the fight scene." Before Orochimaru can finish his hand seals, jumping from the ceiling was Naruto with chakra focused on his arm like a blade. Running the blade through Kabuto, Naruto leapt back and charged at Orochimaru, who started to execute seals rapidly. Kabuto. Healing his wounds, Kabuto focused chakra in his palm and jumped in front of Naruto, ripping a muscle in his arm. "I thought you were going to leave. I still have to do something before I can put Konoha behind me." Naruto unlocked 3 tails of power from Kyuubi and still seemed to be conscious. Kabuto, stall him for 5 more minutes. Sasuke. You see what happens when you don't listen to friends. Idiot. Sasuke struggled to break free but was drained of his energy. Naruto dodged a blow to the neck from Kabuto and countered with an uppercut, striking a substitution. Kabuto laughed as he easily healed his wound. Naruto-kun, that isn't going to work, it's been 5 years since you last fought me. Charging the Rasengan in his hand, Naruto tried to hit Kabuto. That move's getting old. Kabuto charged chakra in his palm again, and before Naruto's Rasengan made contact with him, Kabuto ripped Naruto's wrist muscle, breaking the Rasengan. Arg. Inside his head, Naruto said in front of Kyuubi's cage, "This isn't working. I need more." "Are you insane? My chakra will begin to consume you if you go any further." "Exactly. Are you sure about this?" "Just this once, Kyuubi." Naruto walked up to the cage and pulled the seal note holding the cage together down halfway, and he said, "That should do it." Back in reality, Naruto's screams turned into roars, and the cave began to shake. 2 more tails sprouted from Naruto, making 5 in total. Kabuto started to evade falling rocks, while Naruto charged the Rasengan again. "It didn't work last time," said Kabuto, charging chakra in his palm. "Die." Kabuto again tried to rip Naruto's muscle, but when his hand came in contact with Naruto, not only did the chakra disappear from his hand, but it tore to pieces. The Rasengan then made contact with Kabuto, sending him through the rocks. When Kabuto emerged, he had a hole right in his chest, which he healed mostly, and then collapsed like last time. The Kyuubi couldn't control Naruto much longer. Not yet. Naruto sprinted to Orochimaru, who opened his mouth, and let a sword fly in Naruto's direction, hitting the wall, and creating a cloud of dust. Where is he? Orochimaru had used a lot of chakra to activate the jutsu to consume Sasuke, so he didn't notice below. Emerging from the ground, Naruto rose with his claw-like hands up, and ripped Orochimaru's hands off. "Let's see you finish now, bastard." Orochimaru couldn't summon Manda because the cave wasn't large enough, and so, he once again summoned a sword from his throat. Naruto had lost form of the Kyuubi and was reverted to his normal self. "Guard down." Orochimaru slashed Naruto in the back twice and then stabbed into his chest. "When you die, I'll be taking your hands," shouted Orochimaru, kicking Naruto into the corner. Moving the sword in front of Naruto's head, Orochimaru said, "You should have left this place and you might have lived." "Anything to say?" "Yeah. That sword must jack up your eyesight." "What?" He was right, the sword blocked Orochimaru's view from below him. Naruto kicked Orochimaru in the jaw and shouted, "Kage Bunshin no Jutsu." With 5 clones, 1 slammed Orochimaru back down and then 4 kicked him back up, sending him flying into the air. Orochimaru noticed that Naruto wasn't going to do the Naruto Renden. Instead, Naruto was up with a falling boulder and shouted, "Break down Renden." Naruto kicked the falling boulder towards Orochimaru, thus increasing its speed. The rock crashed into Orochimaru's skull, knocking him out. "And now," said Naruto, pushing himself off the roof, and bringing back his fist. Punching him in the gut, Naruto shouted, "Die." Orochimaru crashed into the floor, and was now unconscious. Naruto knew the cave will bury Orochimaru and Kabuto, so he ran up to Sasuke, who was lucky for not getting hit by a rock, and picked him up. "How did?" "Sorry Sasuke, but I need to save both our asses right now. So if you'd excuse me. I hope the fight scene was a little better now." After leaving the cave, back outside, Sasuke saw there were no ninjas and asked, "You were telling the truth?" Naruto nodded, and on that moment, since they were outside, Sasuke could see that Naruto's eyes, despite being light blue, seemed dark and lifeless. Suddenly, the cave now completely collapsed. Naruto sighed, "Now I gotta go over this mess. This is great." He didn't hear Sasuke move. "Sasuke, you gotta go back to Konoha." "Naruto, I can't." Now leaving, Naruto said, "It's your call." Sasuke replied, "Will they let me in?" "Obviously, if they beat me senseless every time I didn't come back with you, I'm pretty sure they'd let you back in happily." "Then you gotta return too." "No, it's too late for me." "It's not. I was gone for more than 3 years. You've been gone for only. I'm different Sasuke." Now positive there was no convincing, Sasuke asked, "What happened?" "Just tell me." Naruto chuckled, "I'm not telling you." "Why not?" Sasuke remembered the day he asked Naruto advice for climbing trees, just like right now. Naruto faced Sasuke with hatred-filled eyes and said, "You can ask Sakura." "How'd she know?" "I think she'll know. It was like she was there when it happened." "Really? Are you sure?" Naruto inside laughed and said, "I'm pretty damn straight." "Naruto, I'm sorry but I'm not leaving without you." Now mad, Naruto shouted, "No Sasuke. I'm not taking any shit from them anymore." Sasuke tapped Naruto, who stepped away and said, "Go on Sasuke. Go and fulfill your dreams, while they're still alive." Even though he wasn't facing Sasuke, he could smell tears. "Alright, good luck Naruto." Naruto, without turning around, said, "Tell Konoha." 3 days later, Naruto was counting his steps, 5, 6, 7, 8. "We made it." Now standing on the peak of a mountain, Naruto said, "I can see the village." In front of them was a gate that seemed to be floating in the air. Suddenly, 2 cloud nins knocked Naruto down and ordered, "Name yourself." "I'm Naruto Uzumaki." After looking in a small book, one said, "He's not a missing nin in our bingo book." Naruto chuckled and thought, that's because they don't have the new bingo book. The nins turned back to Naruto and said, "To gain entrance, you must stand in front of our gate." Naruto's jaw dropped and asked, "That gate is floating. I can't do that." The nins then shouted, "Then you can't enter. This will take a while." Naruto jumped to the gate, using chakra to stick his feet to the wooden gate. He slipped as the guards said, "This gate won't stick to chakra." Kyuubi slapped his forehead with a tail, "This will take a while." Sasuke could see Konoha's gates from afar. "Here I go." In Konoha, Tsunade was doing her paperwork when an Anbu opened the door frantically saying, "A missing nin is at the gate." "Who?" asked Tsunade in hopes of Naruto. "It's Uchiha Sasuke." Tsunade grinned and ran to get Sakura. Finding Sakura in the shopping district, Tsunade said, "Sakura. Sasuke's here." Sakura dropped her basket and smiled widely. Naruto must have left to get him. Opening the gates, Sasuke entered and was embraced by Sakura immediately. Sakura laughed and squeezed Sasuke to the point of suffocation. "Sasuke, you're back. I never thought this day would come." Tsunade was looking around and asked, "Where's Naruto?" Sasuke broke Sakura away and before he could speak, Sakura asked, "Yeah Sasuke. Where is Naruto? I had to apologize to him." Sasuke looked at the ground and said, "He wasn't kidding." Tsunade and Sakura were confused. Then, with one sentence, Sasuke explained everything. "Naruto wanted me to tell you that his debt to Konoha has been paid. He kept his promise and left for good." Sakura started crying and Tsunade shouted, "You let him go." "I had no choice." "Then how did he get you to come back?" asked Sakura shuddering. "We ran into each other. He killed Orochimaru. I was just a detour that he stopped at. I got really lucky. Orochimaru was going to kill me." Tsunade closed the gates and took Sasuke to the council. On the way, villagers were cheering and after a moment, put a look of disgust as they seemed to look for someone else. "They're looking for Naruto," said Sasuke regrettably. "Sakura, why did Naruto leave?" She was quiet now, and then Tsunade shouted, "She broke his heart, again." Sasuke glared at Sakura in complete hatred. "He was always there for me, tried to make everything better. I would wish for a second chance, to win him back," thought Sakura. With Naruto. After hours of attempts, Naruto is bruised and seems to have given up. "Don't tell me you're giving up, kid. You'd never do that. I've changed. Come on. You used to be so stubborn that if you were assigned to walk on air, you'd try until you get knocked in the head unconscious." Naruto's brain clicked, that is it. Naruto put his hands into a cross seal and focused chakra on his feet. "What do you got planned?" "Well Kyuubi, air, is not a solid, but it, like water, it takes up space, it has mass." "Very interesting." Naruto, now concentrated, placed a foot on the sky and stabilized. Smirking widely, Naruto started, walking on air. Now in front of the floating gate, Naruto shouted to the now asleep ninjas, "Open the gate. I'm here." Startled by Naruto's quick success, the ninjas opened the gates and Naruto could see people wearing white robes and a city that resembled Konoha. Ninjas were waiting for Naruto at the front. "The Raikage will see you now." "Whoa, I'm glad I never destroyed this place." Then, all the villagers ceased their actions and started clapping. Naruto was confused. He only felt this once and it was during the Chunin exams for a couple of seconds. Naruto smiled, "No glares so far. So that's why you're happy." After sponging in the applause, Naruto's face returned to his blank state. Let's go. Inside the council building, Naruto was assigned a seat and waited patiently for the Raikage. So kid, how long do you plan to stay here? How long? I plan to stay forever. Won't you miss Konoha? They won't miss me, so I won't miss them. The door budged open and a man wearing the classic Kage robes entered, smiling calmly. Hello, Naruto Uzumaki. Welcome to the Cloud Village. Thank you Raikage. Child, where are you from? I'm from Konoha. Naruto's stomach curled when he mentioned Konoha because the cloud isn't exactly best friends with the leaf. You are part of the leaf. Naruto gulped some air down and prayed he won't be killed. Instead, the Raikage smiled and asked, what happened that you left? I'm tired of the village. All my life they treated me as a tool, now I'm out. Raikage looked at Naruto in suspicion and asked, why would they treat you so? I had a strange childhood, they treated me like this ever since. Are you just a spy trying to get information on the cloud? Naruto shook his head vigorously saying, I don't want to go back. Raikage stared at Naruto and then said, I can see you're telling the truth. And as though it was their lucky day, the Raikage noticed Naruto's scratched headband and asked, so you're unappreciated, and you really want to start anew? Naruto's fists clutched and then the Raikage stuffed Naruto's headband back in his arms. Tomorrow, we'll meet at my arena, I will decide whether or not you stay or leave. In the meanwhile, you're here for the night. Naruto was sent to a nearby room and gasped in shock. The room had a nice yellow shade and the bed felt nice and soft. Whoa, let's open the window. Blowing inside was a breeze as soft as the bed itself. Wow, we have got to stay here. Naruto looked out the window in Konoha's direction and thought, this is my new home, and I'm going to make sure I stay. In Konoha, Sakura had been sulking all day and when she reported to the team, her first question was, who's replacing Naruto? Kakashi forced a smile and said, since Naruto left, Sasuke is our team replacement, feels funny having Sasuke here and not Naruto. When Kakashi left to retrieve something he left at home, Sasuke asked, Sakura, you have to tell me what you did to Naruto. Sakura frowned, Tsunade told you. There's more to it, I know that. Biting her lip, Sakura started stressing words, when you left, I never got over it. I waited and waited for you, it drove me insane. Then, the day before he left, Naruto tried to give me a present. It was the only thing he's ever received from someone as a gift. He was going to give it to me. Andy crushed it in his face. Sasuke's forehead turned red and he shouted, you did that? What were you thinking? Not even I would have done that. But Sasuke-kun, I was lonely. What do you mean lonely? Naruto all his life put his sad life on the line to save you and bring me back. After a moment of silence, Sasuke turned and said, some of it is my fault though, it was a no-win situation for Naruto anyway. So he just ran away. Kakashi returned, we might as well get going, come on, we leave early. Okay, Sakura had to hold her tears the entire day. With Naruto waiting in the arena for his challenger, Naruto's jaw dropped when the Raikage entered. You're my opponent. The Raikage chuckled and asked, would you rather fight me and stay or return to Konoha? What a question. Fine, let's go. It seems whenever I mention Konoha to this boy, his personality changes. He thought, hurry up old man, begin. Naruto pulled out a kunai and tossed it at Raikage. Disappearing in a puff of smoke, the Raikage asked, do you really want to be a citizen of the cloud? Coming above Naruto, the Raikage focused chakra in his arm, making a tornado fist, and hit Naruto in the chest. Of course I do. Naruto slowly got to his feet and the Raikage shouted, then fight with your life. Laughing softly, Naruto shouted, Shadow Clone Jutsu. 20 clones charged at the Raikage with shuriken and kunai. We ninjas of the cloud manipulate wind in battle. Watch closely. The Raikage blurred hand seals and then created a wind barrier in front of him. I'm increasing the air's friction so that way your kunai and shuriken can't hit me. This is defensive. Naruto's clones charged with fists up and the Raikage said, and this is offensive. Using the same barrier, the Raikage swirled it up into a tornado and sucked all the clones into it. The Raikage, like Gaara would do, clutched his fist together and crushed the clones in the tornado. I increased the pressure. Deciding on his last resort, Naruto charged a Rasengan in his hand. Stunned by Naruto's ability for such a move, the Raikage put up another wind barrier. Pushing the energy orb into the shield, Naruto fell to the floor and watched the fireworks. First the shield was destroyed, and last, the Raikage went flying into the wall, making a crater. I'm giving it my all. The Raikage got back up and asked, then why am I still up? Naruto asked Kyuubi, can you lend me some chakra? Kid, watch out. Wind started cutting Naruto's clothing and the Raikage kicked Naruto into the air. Let's see. Focusing his chakra in his feet, Naruto stuck to the sky like a bird. The Raikage wasn't impressed and shouted, this is your last chance. Naruto did a cage bunshin and they both meshed their Rasengans together. The Raikage had a ball similar to the Rasengan but was shooting out electricity and tornadoes formed around it. Charging at each other, Naruto shouted, Odama Rasengan. When the two collided, energy mixed up all together and exploded on impact. Waking up 2 seconds later, Naruto could see that the Raikage was standing above him, completely unharmed and laughing. Ah crud? Naruto Uzumaki, welcome to the Cloud Village. Naruto smiled for the first time in a long while. That's settled. The Raikage pulled out a Cloud Hite 8 headband and handed it to Naruto saying, with your skills, I'd say the Cloud could use a ninja like you. Naruto didn't take off his scarred leaf headband but placed the Cloud one over it saying, I can't change my past. The Raikage interrupted with, but you can change your future, Naruto, you'll be learning under my teachings with my other apprentice. You seem to already know the basics of wind manipulation. Naruto's personality changed when he put on his Cloud headband, he grinned. Tomorrow, first thing in the morning. The Raikage threw Naruto a sack of money, and left in a puff of smoke. Walking through the gates, Naruto opened his money pouch and found enough for lunch and dinner, as well as the address to his apartment. After locating the closest ramen shop, Naruto spotted a girl his age in another nearby sushi shop eating like an animal. She had long, pony-tailed black hair and was wearing a black jacket with a red tank top and long black pants. Hey, you're going to get sick. The girl laughed and said sarcastically, nice to meet you too. I'm Sarah. Naruto smiled and replied, hi, I'm Naruto. You shouldn't eat that quick. I do it all the time and end up regretting it. Sarah stopped devouring her food and replied, first of all, why can you do it and I can't? Second, are you my doctor? And last, it's my day off and I'm starving. Naruto, for the first time, favored sushi over ramen for lunch and ate with Sarah. You know, Naruto, is it? That people don't really talk to me. It's alright, Sarah. The Kyuubi was deep in thought and Naruto asked, what's wrong? Something about this girl, her chakra is strange. Suddenly, a man in the kitchen spilled hot cooking oil on his head and face, and started screaming in pain. Sarah jumped in and started healing all the wounds, burns, and holes using unusual medical jutsu. It was way too fast to be done in less than 10 seconds. Despite the man was saved, he scooted back from Sarah. Many bypassers stared at Sarah strangely and seemed scared. Naruto was confused and Kyuubi was stunned. I've seen this only once, kid, she's younger than you. Sarah left the shop before Naruto could say goodbye. Well, it looks like we're going to have an interesting time here. Naruto was still staring at the sky, don't tell me. Kyuubi is a part of Naruto, and could tell that Naruto was thinking of the girl he just met. Naruto reached his apartment and couldn't sleep over excitement of the next day. In the morning, Naruto was awakened by the breeze and immediately headed for the Raikage's training grounds. When there, the Raikage asked, are you ready to meet my apprentice? Naruto nodded and followed the Raikage. Say hello. Naruto's jaw dropped when he saw the girl from yesterday, wearing the same clothes, and was practicing with targets. You're Sarah. Sarah waved her hand and said, and you're the wannabe doctor, Naruto, right? Naruto scratched his head and Sarah giggled slightly. Will the surprises never end? In Konoha, Kakashi, Sakura, and Sasuke were waiting in the council room for their new member. Walking in, Tsunade said, this is Mace. He graduated to Chunin a while ago and needs a new team. The boy had blonde hair like Naruto's except he wore the usual ninja clothes and vest. Hey, I read your profiles. Kakashi, Sasuke, and Sakura are your names. Outside in the training ground, Mace started off his impression horribly. I bet you're glad that the Kyuubi brat is out of your hair. Right. Sasuke glared at him and picked him up by the shirt. You don't talk about Naruto like that, scum. I may be Jonin but I'm 10 times stronger than you. So watch your place. Whatever. Sasuke threw Mace to the side and Kakashi said, Sasuke, we may miss Naruto but it won't help us if you gain his attitude of not getting along. So what did Naruto leave Konoha for? Asked Mace to Sasuke. I don't know you well enough yet. The Raikage raised his arms and said, it seems you two know each other. He lowered his arms and shouted, the sparring begins now. Sarah smirked and charged at Naruto, let's see what you got. Wait a moment. Sarah landed a punch on Naruto's face, sending him to the back wall. Naruto lifted himself up and continued to spar with Sarah. You train with the Raikage? Yeah, is there a problem? No. Sarah tossed a kunai at Naruto while in midair and he disappeared. Looking around for Naruto, Sarah felt the metal of her same kunai at her neck. That's it? Sarah grinned and asked, is a dumb cake bunchin all you can do? What? Sarah didn't disappear, but walked away from Naruto, and her neck went by the kunai as though it wasn't there. A genjutsu. Sarah winked, wind illusion. The genjutsu faded and Naruto was kicked away by Sarah in back of him. Get up, come on let's go. Sarah began jogging in place. Naruto was about to bite his finger to summon and realized. Jiraiya probably rigged it so that if I summon, the toads will tell him. What's wrong? Hurry up. Fine, if Jiraiya doesn't want me to summon, I'll resort to the usual. Naruto did a cross-hand seal and shouted, Kage Bunshin no Jutsu. Sarah sighed and asked, again. The Narutos charged at Sarah, come on Naruto. That won't. Once running forward to her, the Narutos faded from her vision. At least it's something new. Sarah scanned her backside, searching for Naruto. Naruto chuckled and said, look again. Sarah looked back to where Naruto once was to see he was still there. I stick with the moves I got. 1 Naruto kicked Sarah to the floor and 3 kicked her into the air. Flying up high, Sarah watched the real Naruto leap in front of her, and lift his leg for an attack. Before Naruto could slam his foot into Sarah, Naruto renned, she caught it with her hands, too slow. Naruto could have sworn he saw her yellow eyes turn purple. Naruto squirmed in the air shouting, let go of me. Let go. Okay. Sarah threw Naruto from the sky and he hit the ground, making a crater. She's as strong as Sakura, thought Naruto. Careful. The dust cleared and Naruto could see Sarah forming a tornado in her hand. Naruto charged a Rasengan, she's not as strong as Sakura. She's stronger. Naruto leapt in the air and collided his Rasengan with Sarah's vortex. Just like in the Raikage fight, the two chakras mixed together. Naruto, this chakra seems familiar. Do you need help? Not now. Sarah showed no sign of stopping the attack and then Naruto could see her eyes go from purple, back to her regular yellow. The attack slowed down, and the two fell to the floor. Naruto managed to get on his knees and Sarah was completely exhausted. You're good Naruto. Whatever. Naruto frowned and kicked the dirt. Are you always so glum? Naruto laughed and replied, you're the first person that I spar who managed to actually bring me this low. Sarah all of a sudden frowned and said, I'm just a little lucky, I had help. What did you say? Sarah faked a smile and replied, working hard pays off. The Raikage clapped and said, very good. Since Naruto is new here, you two are dismissed early today. Naruto followed Sarah outside and asked, would you like to go eat with me? Sarah smiled brightly and pointed to her face, you want to go out with me? What, you haven't eaten out with someone before? No, should have I? I thought you would have. Naruto started to stare at the floor. Why? Sarah leaned over to Naruto to see his face, which had a light red shade. Naruto didn't watch his words and said, because you're so beauty. Sarah was clueless and Naruto forced the blush away, never mind. Let's go get some ramen. Sarah smiled, what's ramen? Naruto's eyes widened, you don't know what ramen is. You have got to try it. At the ramen stand Naruto located yesterday, he started on his 6th bowl. So Sarah, how many bowls have you eaten so far? Sarah seemed to be pigging out like yesterday and murmured with ramen in her mouth, I'm going on my 4th. Naruto's jaw dropped. Never before has anyone eaten even half as much as he does in ramen. Geez, already? Well you're on your 6th, and you say not to eat too much. Naruto grinned, I didn't mean it like that. I just didn't know anyone would, or could eat as much as I sometimes do. Sarah laughed, this stuff is good. Kyuubi was still deep in thought. You know kid, she reminds me of you on way too many things. You're right. Naruto turned his attention back to Sarah. Where did you learn such jutsu? I had an old teacher. She taught me chakra control. Oh okay. It's your turn to tell me where you got your jutsu from. Or you can tell me where you came from. What? No. Not right now. What? I talked to you so now it's your turn. I don't want to talk about it. Naruto paid for his ramen and Sarah smirked. Fine, but you have to pay for my ramen. But, Naruto flinched back. Either that or you can tell me where you came from. Naruto sadly paid for her ramen thinking, this is murder to wallet. She left the stand and waved goodbye to Naruto. She's so annoying. Naruto turned around and headed to his apartment. Then why did you ask her out, idiot? Naruto blushed and Kyuubi bugged him all day. Konoha. In the training grounds, Team 7 decided to see what Mace is capable of. He's a fool. Kakashi patted Sasuke on the head like he would do to Naruto. What did I say about getting along with others? Ah, Mace smiled and asked, come on Sasuke. Still mad about my remark? Sasuke sarcastically said, no, of course not. Alright then, get ready. Sakura left to get Tsunade and leave the boys be. Begin. Mace didn't move and Sasuke went at full speed with Chidori ready. This is for your little comment on Naruto. Sasuke was about to plunge his Chidori into Mace when suddenly, after he blinked, saw Naruto. What the? Then Naruto, who seemed to be smirking, asked, what's the matter Sasuke? Then Naruto punched Sasuke in the stomach, sending him to the wall. Naruto disappeared and revealed Mace. I didn't detect genjutsu. What's the matter? Said Mace chuckling. What the hell? Sasuke recharged a Chidori and tried to strike Mace, only to have him turn into Naruto again. That won't work on me a second time, shouted Sasuke, plunging the Chidori into Mace. Sasuke laughed at Mace but then could see that the one he hit was bleeding and shouting. Naruto. Mace appeared and punched Sasuke in the face. Haha, Sasuke, still can't figure it out? Deciding not to waste any more chakra, Sasuke clutched his fist and charged at Mace. For a moment, Sasuke detected chakra, and as fast as it appeared, it left. I get it. Using his chakra, Sasuke broke the genjutsu and could see Mace next to a tree. Slamming his fist into Mace, Sasuke said, using genjutsu to hide chakra. Mace dodged Sasuke's next attack and countered with a kick, sending him to a tree. Very good Sasuke. I used genjutsu not only to project illusions, but to hide my chakra. How do you do that? No one can hide at their chakra signature. You're right. Guess why I can. As the fight progressed, Sasuke looked at Mace's eyes and saw them move side to side, as though a pendulum. Your eyes, are they a bloodline limit? You got it. I am the last of my clan, the Kirikumas. Once again Mace disappeared and Sasuke decided to turn on his Sharingan. Let me show you my real moves Sasuke. Mace charged at Sasuke from all directions, with shadow clones of course. Sasuke used his Sharingan to determine the movements of each shadow clone, and spotted the real one. Throwing shuriken at another to lower suspicion, Sasuke then kicked the real one when he was off guard. Pitiful, that won't work against me. Are you sure? Striking Sasuke from behind, the real Mace slashed at Sasuke with his fist, which now seemed like a giant claw. What did you do? Asked Sasuke, slowly lifting up from the floor. Mace focused his chakra and his other hand shrouded itself in chakra that looked like another claw. He looked like a bear with bloodshot eyes. Alright Sasuke, I'll tell you my secret. My eyes are called Seimin orbs. I'll say that these eyes of mine allow me to perform consecutive genjutsu in one try. In other words, you won't really tell whether or not you're under genjutsu, or you released yourself from one. I know your chakra has limits, so let's get this over with then. Mace's left yellow chakra claw formed together with his right chakra claw, making a red sword. Sasuke smirked and thought, if I learned anything from Orochimaru. Sasuke's Chidori grew into a shape of a sword, like Mace's. Except it was blue and unlike the Chidori it didn't spark. They shouted and charged at each other with blind determination. When their swords clashed, the chakra started to crack, letting out fumes of light. Finally, the swords exploded, covering the area in light. When Sasuke opened his eyes, he stood up and looked around for Mace, and found him behind a tree panting. Beat you. Mace smirked and said, next time it won't be so easy. Sasuke wasn't focused, and didn't detect that Mace was using yet another genjutsu. An Anbu who seemed nervous and sweaty walked into the grounds and asked, I sensed chakra here. so I'd figure you guys would be here. Anyway, Hokage-sama would like to talk to you. Running through the entrance hall to the Hokage's room, they could see the door open, and inside they could see the floor covered in debris, and crying could be heard. When they entered, they could see dust around Tsunade's desk, who she was punching the wall, and to the right, Sakura was in a chair sobbing while holding a booklet. "What's going on?" asked Sasuke to Sakura. Mace was restraining Tsunade and she shouted, "Get off me. I feel like I want to kill the council geezers." "What the hell is wrong?" asked Sasuke once more. "Look in the goddamn book," shouted Tsunade. Sasuke took the book from Sakura, who said, Sasuke, look in the end." The book was a bingo book, and inside, there were crosses all over faces, and doing as told. Sasuke looked in the back where it said, B2S class ninjas. Scrolling through B, Sasuke didn't notice anything strange, until he looked at section A. When he went to the last page of the A class, the page showed a picture of Naruto, and under his face, it said, Uzumaki Naruto, a class missing nin. Kill if he resists. "This is bull," shouted Sasuke, chucking the book in the trash can. Tsunade hit the wall harder and said, "The council said if I didn't have connections with him, they'd put him under S class." The council's excuse was that Naruto is a Jinchuruki and they can't let another village possess of him. They think he's a tool. Tsunade fell to the floor and drank some sake, which had calmed her down since she had been drinking for a while. Sasuke asked, "When did they do this?" "They put him in the bingo book 5 days ago. The sake had gotten into Tsunade, without my permission, and if anyone is reported to have let him go as seen, they'll be killed." "Can't you do anything, Tsunade?" "Sasuke, I'm trying my best." Sakura ran out the door and left for her apartment while Sasuke followed Sakura. Mace picked up Tsunade, placed her on the Hokage's chair, and left to get an attendant. At Sakura's apartment, she was on the couch, in a blanket, sobbing. "Can I come in?" asked Sasuke, knocking on the door. "It's open." Sasuke entered and took a chair. "Sakura, it's all right. We'll make sure Naruto doesn't get killed." "But he can't come back, Sasuke." "Sakura, if I was in the bingo book and I'm now here to talk to you, I'm sure Naruto will be all right." "They'll kill him." Sakura stared blankly at the wall with red, puffy eyes. "Sakura, it's..." "Sasuke, shut up." This startled Sasuke a little. Sakura was scolding him. "You can't say it's all right. It's my fault. If I didn't do that to him, he'd never have left." Sasuke objected, knowing the consequence. "Sakura, I'm not saying you didn't do anything, but I had my share too, as well as Konoha itself, okay? But Sasuke, he tried so hard, just to make me happy. Yet, I treated him like trash." Deciding that there was no other way to make her feel better, Sasuke did this for her sake. "Sakura, I'm sorry too. If you look at the whole picture, I have no reason to be mad at you." "What do you mean?" Despite he didn't want to say this, Sasuke knew he had to. "Sakura, I don't need to forgive you because you did nothing wrong. If I had listened to you and Naruto long ago, we wouldn't have gone through this." Sasuke left Sakura's apartment, knowing that they had nothing to say to each other. Cloud Village. Inside his room, Naruto had been deep in thought all night. "Kyuubi, I'm confused. I'm sick of being unappreciated, so I left Konoha, but then what do I do?" "What do you mean? Tell me what you think of this situation." "First of all, Kit, what made you leave? It couldn't have been just that girl." "No, it wasn't just her." "Was it the execution form?" "Not just that either." "Then what else was it?" "Kyuubi, I don't belong there. I wanted to be Hokage, but I just brought the village to despair and hate." "That's me, Kit." "No, you're wrong. I contain you, so I give them the thought of you escaping." "I see, but that doesn't mean." "You don't get it, Kyuubi. I could never do anything right there, no matter what I did." "Explain." "If I got stronger, I'll frighten them. If I became nicer, they'd think I'd tricked them. But now that I'm gone, they could put me in the bingo book and be happy." "How could they be happy?" "That I might die. And as for Sakura, now that Sasuke should be back, she doesn't need me anymore. There's always Toad Sennin and Slug Lady. I know, they'll get over it. I'm sure they'll now I'm fine." Kyuubi sighed and asked, "So how do we learn from these mistakes?" "I can't make bonds. People can't learn about me or it'll be Konoha all over again." Kyuubi laid back and Naruto closed his eyes. Both went to sleep, prepared for the real beginning of their new lives. Cloud Village, a week later. Naruto arrived at the training grounds early, followed by Sarah. "Hey Naruto." Hey Sarah? Raikage arrived with his training clothes, stunning the two ninjas. It's been almost a half-month of training, so today I want to see how well you can work together. Sarah grinned, reminding Naruto much like his old self. We'll wipe the floor with you, old man. Right, Naruto? Whatever. Are you two ready? Sarah shouted, yeah, we'll beat you. Naruto got angry and said, Sarah, wait. Naruto was silenced when he received a punch in the gut from Raikage. Naruto, are you alright? Asked Sarah, shaking him while he was half-conscious. Naruto raised his voice, oh, I'm just swell. Good, then let's beat him. Naruto was pulled up by Sarah and saw her take off. Can't stop and listen, won't she? Play along with it. Following Sarah up to the Raikage, Naruto aimed for the cage's head with his fist. He ducked it and Sarah tried to kick his wrinkled mug. Raikage blocked the kick and countered with a punch. You better not forget me. Naruto punched Raikage in the face and kicked him far. Good teamwork. Let's see more, said Raikage, blurring seals like he did in his fight with Naruto, and formed a barrier of wind. We have to attack when you use that, shouted Naruto. What did I tell you about offensive and defensive? The barrier turned into a vortex, and began sucking up debris and other things on the floor. Don't get pulled in, Sarah. The Raikage smirked and asked, ever been shot before? The vortex filled with debris aimed at Naruto, as though attempting to snipe him. Locked on to Naruto, the vortex shot out the debris like a pistol, and hit Naruto with full impact. Naruto. Sarah was running around Naruto's cheesy body. The Raikage currently put a genjutsu on Sarah to make her believe Naruto had bullet holes in his body. Come on, I taught you better than that, said the Raikage, directing at Sarah. Focusing chakra in his arm, the Raikage sliced the air, sending a shuriken that looked and were as fast as shockwaves. As the shuriken approached Sarah, her eyes went from yellow to purple again. Pulling out a kunai, Sarah, at incredible speed, reflected the shuriken back at the Raikage. With the final shuriken coming, Sarah didn't have time to dodge it when Naruto used a kunai his own to defend her. I thought we were working as a team. Sarah's eyes reverted back to yellow, of course. Sorry about that. Raikage was finished neutralizing the ricocheted shuriken and said, if you're tiered already, you two have a long way to go. He charged the same electric Rasengan he did in Naruto's fight, but this time, the Raikage had a clone that helped create a larger energy ball. Naruto had two options: use a Rasengan and fail miserably trying to top the Raikage's attack. Or he can create two shadow clones and lose anyway. Naruto didn't have enough chakra for an Odama Rasengan, so he asked Kyuubi, so what? Surrender? What do I do? Sorry, you can't use my chakra without revealing yourself as a Jinchuruki, so, you're screwed. Sarah grinned and shouted, no problem. Naruto, are you trying to get us killed? I have a plan. We're both low on chakra. Let's combine our attacks. Sarah then thought, maybe it'll work if I don't use it. Sarah charged an electric ball in her palm and shouted, Mitsubachi Orb. Naruto started charging his Rasengan and Sarah charged her Mitsubachi Orb. Kyuubi was slapping his forehead screaming, you can't combine chakra. She would have to have chakra of similar properties. When the two put their energies together, a bright orange orb formed. It's worth a shot, shouted Naruto. Sarah and Naruto smirked. Kyuubi was staring at the energy ball through Naruto's eyes saying, I'll be damned. Naruto and Sarah charged at Raikage in their last attempt. The three collided, and the scenery looked like a thunderstorm. Naruto and Sarah were blown back to the wall and Raikage the same. Sarah, funny, I'm going to watch her. After an explosion and blinding light, the two saw the Raikage above them. Never get kids. Sarah stuck out her tongue at the Raikage like a stubborn brat. Despite Naruto was sitting against the wall, Sarah soon noticing her head was leaning on Naruto's chest. She jumped up and blushed a dark red shade, sorry. Didn't notice that. It won't happen again. Naruto restrained his blush, it's alright. Raikage got their attention and said, I'm disappointed. You two couldn't even relieve half my chakra. Looks like this will take a while despite Sarah has been my student for half a year. At least I didn't use Kyuubi, thought Naruto. Before you two go, I have one more thing to say, said the Raikage frowning. Naruto and Sarah turned around before stepping out to hear the Raikage. I'm sure you all know this, but unlike this fight between us, it's kill or die out in the battlefield. You can't hold back. See you both tomorrow at 7. Great teamwork, Naruto. Do you want to go eat something? Sorry, I'm going home, see ya. Sarah frowned seeing Naruto walk away and thought, does he know? I hope not. Konoha, Sakura, Sasuke, and the old rookie 9 had a meeting with the council. We have a problem with your bingo book, shouted Kiba. Akamaru started growling. What's the meaning of this? Asked Neji. One old man from the council stood up and said, he's a missing nin. But he's no threat, shouted Sasuke, picking up and swinging his arm to the side. The man chuckled and said, I don't know if any of you children heard of the law made 16 years ago, but now that the boy is gone, there's something you should all know. What's that? Asked Choji. Your so-called friend is the demon that destroyed the village. The Kyuubi. Sakura clutched her fist and shouted, Naruto is not a demon. Did he tell you that? That demon is just tricking you. Sasuke stood face to face with the man. You're one of them, aren't you? What do you mean? You're one of the people who lost relatives to the demon. You just have some grudge against Naruto. The man smirked and Sasuke picked him up by the shirt. You don't care about Naruto. You have the opportunity to get rid of him and you're doing this. Bastard, who put you in charge? That doesn't matter, Uchiha. Now if you don't put me down I'll call the Anbu and they'll place you in a jail cell. You're lucky to be welcomed back despite you were a missing nin. The group started outside when the man said, and one more thing. If any of you happen to see the boy during the mission, and let him free, you will be trialed under treason. Then what are we supposed to do? Asked Sasuke, looking half insane. The rested his chin on top of his two folded hands and said, kill him. Sasuke screamed in anger and charged a Chidori, charging at the man. Knocking Sasuke unconscious, 3 Anbu, as said, took Sasuke to the cells. Anyone else? The group left the room and went outside. Sakura broke down to cry. Naruto can't come back. Naruto arrived early as usual to the training grounds and strangely saw Sarah sitting up in a tree branch. Oh hi Naruto, shouted Sarah, waving. Sarah's point of view. Naruto leaned against the same tree Sarah was on and silence fell again. Maybe I should talk to him, he's been so quiet lately. Sarah jumped down and asked, what's bugging you? Nothing. Do I look troubled? Yeah you do. You've been frowning all week. Naruto faked a smile and said, no I haven't. Look. Sarah grinned and said, don't lie to me, that's fake. He's going to ignore you. Said a strange voice. Leave me alone, please. Naruto smiled for some reason or another, a genuine smile, and replied, okay then. There, I smiled. Naruto's point of view. You know, she kind of reminds me of you, Kit. Yeah right, I meant before you became a hard ass. Whatever. Sarah decided to seize the opportunity to ask Naruto out, since he's in a good mood. Hey Naruto, maybe we can go eat after class? Would you like to? Again? It's getting hard to keep her out. Sorry Sarah, I got plans today. Sarah's point of view. Sarah felt like sulking on the inside. I've tried for the past 2 weeks. He still won't say yes, I should just give up. He's just one of those villagers. They reject you and push you away. Said the same strange voice tauntingly. I don't think Naruto is like that. He wasn't like this the first week we started training, he asked me out that week. Sarah, I'm really sorry. I just can't. Okay then, that's alright. Said Sarah, putting on a grin that scared the Kyuubi. Naruto's point of view. Whoa, did you notice that? Naruto scratched his head. Man Fox, you're right. She is like my old self. The Raikage entered the grounds and shouted, alright you two, today we're not going to do chakra practice. I want to see how you two developed these past 2 weeks. Sparring time. Sarah and Naruto were used to the Raikage's attitude of getting straight to the point. In this case, get the fight started as quickly as possible. They stood in the center of the arena a couple of meters away from each other. I hope I don't hurt him, Nibby's awake today, thought Sarah nervously. Naruto got into fighting stance and Sarah as well. Begin, shouted Raikage, lowering his arms. Sarah started by throwing shuriken at Naruto, which he dodged easily. I can help you beat him, said the voice anxiously. Sarah started sweating in fear. No. Stay out of my head. I don't need your help. Naruto landed a punch and his eyes widened, thinking that Sarah would block or dodge it. Sarah, are you alright? Why yes, Naruto. Sarah slowly got up and charged at Naruto, faster than usual. No, I can do this by myself. I don't want your help. Naruto didn't see Sarah coming up quickly and she successfully landed a punch in his face. I didn't ask if you wanted it. Stop it, leave me alone, you can't do anything without me. Slowly, Sarah closed her eyes and clutched her head in agony. Kuso, get out, here I come. Opening her eyes, they were purple instead of her regular yellow again. Her nails grew a little longer, maybe an inch, and had small fangs. Naruto noticed her weird features and thought, Kyuubi, you said something strange was with her besides being similar to me. I think you're right. It's been like this for 2 weeks except this time, I sense her chakra stronger than usual. I think that. Sarah uppercut Naruto into the air and then kicked him back down. Spitting out some blood, Naruto asked, what's with you? The Raikage wasn't interrupting the fight because he knew the problem with Sarah, since he was the one who found her in the ruins of the shore village. And also, ever since Naruto stepped into the cloud village, he sensed a Bijuu's power inside him. I'll leave you two to your business, said the Raikage leaving the training grounds. Naruto was shocked, pissed, confused and realized, the sly old man must have knew. Don't put your guard down, shouted Sarah charging her Mitsubachi Thunderball. Naruto charged his Rasengan and jumped in the air to Sarah. Their attacks collided and both sprang back to their original positions. Kit, I figured it out, I had doubts but now I'm positive. Naruto nodded in his head and said, same here. In unison, both Kyuubi and Naruto said, she's another Jinchuruki. So should I help you, Kit? No, Kyuubi, it's alright. Just heal me if I'm wounded. I don't sense a strong Bijuu in her. You're right, it's either the second or the third-tailed Bijuu. Good then, I don't see any chakra tail so the seal on her must be holding most of the energy in. Get going. Sarah landed on the floor and started throwing punches and kicks to Naruto. After the second punch and the third kick, Naruto blocked Sarah's next attack and countered with a close tackle, sending her a couple yards away. Taju, Kage Bunshin no Jutsu, shouted Naruto, forming 20 clones. Sarah smirked and charged at the clones alone. Her claws grew 2 more inches and she started slashing at the clones, one by one. 2 clones charged Rasengans and zoned into Sarah. That's getting old. Sarah ducked the moment the Rasengan was going to hit her and shoved her nails into the clones' stomachs. All the clones were now gone, and Sarah started up to Naruto. Trying another uppercut, Sarah missed and attempted a kick. Naruto leapt into the air, dodging the kick. The tree behind Naruto was sent off its roots and Naruto could only picture what would happen if it connected. Sarah disappeared from her current position and Naruto looked around for her in the air, expecting her to come from behind like she usually did. I'm coming up. Sarah this time leapt from under Naruto and slashed at his head. Stopping the flow of chakra keeping him up, Naruto barely dodged the swipe and noticed Sarah was able to cut some of his hair off. Those nails are sharper than kunai. Landing back on the floor, Naruto realized they were back where they started, Sarah in the air and him on the ground. Naruto created a clone and they both charged a Rasengan in their hand, putting them together. Sarah started blurring hand seals, thunder spear. She shouted. Sarah flung her arms in Naruto's direction, as though throwing shuriken. But instead, a lightning bolt raced to Naruto and his clone. Dodging them at quick speeds while still keeping the Odama Rasengan intact, Naruto jumped towards Sarah, thrusting the Rasengan up. Sarah put both of her arms back and aimed at Naruto's Rasengan. Then flinging her arms at Naruto, 5 lightning bolts honed in and stopped Naruto's Rasengan, as well as his clone. Now open, Naruto felt Sarah pounding him down to the earth. With a kickdown similar to the Naruto Renden, Sarah knocked Naruto into the floor, making a crater. Opening his eyes, Naruto could see Sarah coming in for the death blow. You sure about this, kid? If you die, so do I. It's alright, Kyuubi. I'm sure. In Sarah's head, Sarah was trying to close the hole in the cage from which the demon was controlling her. Stop it, you're going to kill him. I'll give you power to destroy him. Take revenge. What revenge? Stop playing tricks with me. Get out of my head. In reality, Sarah was 2 meters away from Naruto and started to lose consciousness. Landing on the floor and clutching her head, Sarah's eyes reverted to yellow. Naruto, where are you? Asked Sarah looking around the arena frantically. Kit, are you alright? Yeah, heal me okay? I need to rest for a moment. Walking over to the crater, Sarah could see Naruto bruised, and there were traces of blood in the crater. Oh my god, where's the Raikage? Sarah jumped in the crater and pulled Naruto out of the hole. Naruto, get up. Get up. I didn't do this. Sarah started crying and shaking Naruto's shoulders, attempting to wake him up. Dumb Nibby. Let me live a normal life, whispered Sarah to herself. Kyuubi had been listening in on Sarah, despite Naruto was knocked out cold. I knew it. Sarah heard the Raikage returning and fled, trying to hide her tears. The Raikage sat next to Naruto and waited patiently for him to wake up, and surely enough, in 10 minutes, Naruto was screaming and running around. Where the hell did Sarah go? The Raikage laughed and asked, did you figure it out, Naruto? What out? Sarah's secret, of course. You knew all along, didn't you, old man? Why didn't you help her? Asked Naruto, frowning. I have my reasons, and yes, I know about Sarah's demon. This has been happening recently. I will have to tell you the story later. Why later? Asked Naruto angrily. Don't you have someone to talk to right now? Sarah, where could she be? Thanks, Raikage, I got to go find her. Nodding, the Raikage walked away and Naruto ran to find Sarah. In the town center, there is a tall clock tower, on which Sarah was looking up to the moon. While sobbing, she said, I can't believe I couldn't control it. The clock struck 8 and a star shone in the sky. I might have hurt Naruto. From behind her, Naruto sat down next to her and said, it's alright, Sarah. You just knocked me out temporarily, Before he could finish, Sarah pulled him down and hugged, no wait, strangled him. Naruto, you're okay. Sarah started sobbing on Naruto's chest, making him feel awkward. It's okay. Calm down. How could you have lived? I almost killed you. It's okay. The Raikage had medical nens. You're not in trouble, said Naruto, lying. You're not mad, scarred, hurt. No, I'm fine. You fought great. Hearing, you fought great, made Sarah cry louder and cling to Naruto louder. Some villagers were gazing from the ground, up to the clock tower, wondering what happened. I'm sorry, I said that, Sarah. It's my fault. Sarah sobbed louder. Naruto didn't care if he was like Shikamaru and thought, damn, this is troublesome. Then, remembering the morning talk he had with Sarah, he said, it's okay. Let me take you for some ramen. Sarah started to calm down and asked half loud and half soft, I thought you had things to do. Naruto had to think up an excuse and said, my friends come first. That sounded like his old self. At the ramen stand, Naruto was on his 6th bowl and asked, so how much have you eaten yet? I'm starting my 6th, said Sarah, slurping up some noodles as though it is the last of them on earth. What? 6th? But, I'm on my 6th. Don't lie to me. The shopkeeper of the ramen stand went up and said, your bill. On the paper it wrote, 4 bowls of chicken ramen, 4 bowls of vegetable ramen, and 4 bowls of fish ramen. Naruto blinked and looked at Sarah, who just put down her 6th bowl. What's wrong, Naruto? Don't have money? I have plenty of money, but oh, so a girl can't eat as much as a boy. No, it's that I thought no one could eat as much as me. Sarah looked over to a sign hanging outside and said, you're on. On what? Asked Naruto, looking around. Read that sign, Naruto. The sign outside said, in 15 days, ramen eating contest. Anyone who wants to apply must sign. Only 10 may participate. Naruto smirked and said, that's a fool's contest. I'll wipe the floor with you. Then I'm signing up too, said Sarah, smiling. After paying the bill, Naruto and Sarah both paid the fee to register. Naruto paid for Sarah too. Well, I'm broke, said Naruto, sitting on a bench. Sarah sat next to him and said, thanks for taking me out. I didn't ask you out. We just ate together. Naruto went off subject and asked, so Sarah, where did you get so much power? Even though Naruto very well knew where Sarah got her energy from, he wanted to hear it directly from her, and if she tells him, he'll tell her he's a Jinchuruki too. Naruto, can I tell you some other time, when I know you better? Well, said Naruto teasingly. I'm sorry, it's just that I am worried if I tell you, you'd trust me, right? Naruto grinned and replied, of course I trust you. I can wait. Sarah smiled and got off the bench. Naruto looked at Sarah, and for a minute or so, they just stood there looking at each other. Naruto could see that Sarah was blushing because there was a street light brightening up the place. Naruto, said Sarah, sitting back down. Yeah, what is it? Asked Naruto, grinning. Sarah kissed Naruto on the cheek quickly and said, thank you, Naruto-kun. Sarah continued blushing and grinning at the same time, making Naruto do the same. I'm glad the Nibby is out of my head right now, thought Sarah. And as she walked away, Naruto thought, what did I do for her? Kyuubi was laughing in Naruto's head, teasing him, haha. Lucky son of a. Shut it, fox. Arriving at his house, Naruto said to Kyuubi, I'm going to talk to the Raikage about Sarah, and see how we can help. Her demon comes out randomly. Maybe we can fix that. In Konoha, next morning, Rookie 9 all went to the jail cells and picked up Sasuke, who had just woken up. Never do that again, okay? Said Tsunade. I had to pull strings to get you out this early, attempt of murder. Geez Sasuke, they expect us to kill Naruto. I don't blame Sasuke for trying to kill that geezer, shouted Kiba. Choji gulped down some chicken and asked, what are we going to do about this? Ino put up her fist and said, I say we have a petition to take Naruto of the bingo book. That's too troublesome, that would take months and there's not even a 50 chance that we'll make it pass. Guess who said that? An entire argument fell upon the group all except Hinata, Sakura, Shino, Mace and Choji. Everyone shut the hell up, shouted Tsunade. Listen, I need you all in the Hokage's living tower in an hour. Did you see how that rhymed? What for? Asked Sakura. I already sent a message to the Sand, Wave, and Snow Country telling them about Naruto's dismissal through a messenger falcon. We'll have a reply soon. But I need to speak with all of you on how we'll handle this. Your senseis will be there as well as Jiraiya. In my room, in an hour. Before everyone split up, Hinata asked Sakura, may I talk to you until the meeting? Sakura didn't want to be rude and replied, sure. Let's go to my apartment. On the way there, Sakura asked, just what is it you want to talk about, Hinata? I'm hoping you could tell me why Naruto-kun left. Sakura looked at Hinata rather scared than guilty. She wouldn't want to tell that to someone who used kun at the end of Naruto's name. Sand Village. Gaara was in his office working with papers when Kankuro entered the room. God Gaara, they're still making you do paperwork? You're only 15. Smiling, Gaara said, it comes with the job. Flying through the window, a carrier pigeon held a small note. After feeding the bird, Gaara observed the message. What is it? Asked Kankuro. The sand cup on Gaara's desk exploded, almost poking Kankuro's eyes out if he hadn't shielded them with his hands. Get me the council, shouted Gaara looking up some files. Kankuro quickly read the note and then sped out the doorway to fulfill Gaara's request. Kuso Naruto, you better stay alive. Pulling out a file of missing nins, Gaara stormed out to the council quarters. A.N. Don't worry everybody, I plan to have more of the Sand Village in this chapter, keep reading and be patient. Cloud Village. Naruto and Sarah were called into the Raikage's scroll room to have a special talk. What do you think the old man wants us for, Sarah? Asked Naruto with his hands behind his head. Dunno, in all my time with him, I never was invited to the scroll room. Then maybe we'll finally be able to do something other than spar. Sarah smirked and asked, you know Naruto, only a week more till the ramen eat out, do you want to put up stakes? To Naruto, Sarah would use kun at the end of his name randomly. Come on Sarah, I don't want you to lose something. What, are you scared you'll lose? No, I won't be pushed so easily. Are you sure? Nothing you want? Naruto smirked. Well, there is something I want, all the money you owe me for the 20-something bowls of ramen one paid for you. Got him, thought Sarah. Okay Naruto-kun, if you win, I pay you back. And what if you win? I'll think of something. Sarah winked at Naruto, making him flinch. Arriving at the scroll room, Naruto and Sarah saw the Raikage in one of 3 chairs in front of a shelf filled with scrolls, big scrolls. Sitting down in the chairs, Naruto asked, okay, you got our attention. The Raikage chuckled, I'm quite lucky then. Do any of you know which scrolls these are? Not a one, said Sarah. Well, these are ninjutsu and summoning scrolls. Will we be able to use them? Asked an anxious Sarah. Yes. As it seems, you two are already stronger than our village chunins and a couple of our jonins. I can't teach you my jutsus yet, but here are some scrolls that'll show you some skills many of our Anbu know. Naruto nodded and asked, yeah sure, but one problem. We know plenty of ninjutsu, how can we improve further? The Raikage smiled and replied, you are right. You and Sarah are good with ninjutsu as well as a bit of genjutsu. So I will have you two learn better weaponry skills. Which ones will we use? You can pick if you want, said the Raikage pointing at a closet. Cool, shouted Sarah. Looking through the small room, Sarah could see boxes of kunai, drawers of swords, and rows of shuriken. But something else caught his eye. "Did you find anything yet?" asked Naruto. "Yeah, coming out." Sarah was carrying a box, the size of one to carry pencils. "What's in it?" Opening the box, there was a pile of senbon, with a hole in each needle. "What are the holes for?" asked Sarah. The Raikage said, "When we start training I'll tell you." "Naruto, you go." Naruto already was familiar with senbon from his fight at the Wave Country and didn't feel like he would want to use them. Also he thought that kunai and shuriken were basic weapons in a ninja's arsenal, so he observed the swords. "Hey Kit, look at that one." Coming out with the sword, Naruto took it out and observed it. The shape is weird. The sword Naruto had picked was a double-edged sword, very dangerous. "What's this thing?" Pressing a camouflaged button on the handle, Naruto had split the sword in two. "Did I break it?" No. The Raikage put the shafts of the two swords together and they snapped back in place. "Oh, it looks like I can double wield with this sword. It's called Midnight's Gale." "Whoa, figures." The blade seemed to emit small breezes. Was black with a blue stripe down the middle where it can split into two. And the handle was gray with horizontal stripes. "We're going to have fun with this one," said Kyuubi anxiously. Naruto placed the blade in its shaft, put on a belt, and strapped the blade to it. The Raikage smiled and said, "Last thing is each of you get to pick one summoning scroll. Find the one which suits." Before he could finish, Sarah was taking scrolls off the shelf, studying them, and then throwing them behind her back, making a pile of ones she liked. "Be careful with those," said the Raikage nervously. Naruto stepped up to observe some scrolls and Sarah threw one behind her head and it connected with Naruto's forehead. Naruto fell back and the Raikage said, "I suggest you wait your turn." Remembering that was already under a summoning contract and thought, "I'm going to have to use my other hand." Suddenly, Sarah poked in between the two and shouted, "Found it. It's a falcon." Naruto felt his ears burst and silently said, That's great, Sarah." The Raikage opened the scroll and Sarah wrote her name in blood on the scroll, on which 7 people have signed also in the past. "Nice choice. The falcons are reliable and easy to tame, specialize in speed, obviously." "Awesome. So what do I do?" "Well Sarah, first you bring blood to the thumb on which you signed the contract with. Then you must do the hand seals of Inu, Ryu, and Tori. Last of all, shout summoning no jutsu while pressing your hand down and you're due." Sarah had already started to try out her summon. Shouting summoning no jutsu, Sarah's hands became shrouded in smoke. Coming out was a small bird the size of a pigeon. "What happened?" asked Sarah moping. Naruto laughed, having experienced it before, and said, "Don't worry Sarah, you just summoned a baby bird. That's all." Sarah picked up the bird and held it close to her. "He's cute. Too bad he can't fight." Suddenly, the bird flew on Sarah's head and shouted, "I'm going to get strong. Like my mom and dad." Sarah put down the bird, patted its head, and said, "When you can fight, I'll be sure to summon you." "What's your name?" "My name's Toringo. And we bird spirits grow fast. By next year I'll be big." Sarah started patting and scratching the bird. "Hey, cut that out." The bird resisted, making Sarah giggle. "I'm Sarah. See you later." Dismissing the bird, Sarah stood up and asked, "All right Naruto, your turn to pick." "Already did. This one seems strong." "Tigers." Naruto showed the scroll to the Raikage. Opening the scroll, Naruto's jaw dropped when he saw that only 2 people has signed it before. "What's up with this old man? Is there another one of these scrolls that others use?" "No Naruto. Only one person has used that summoning before." "What about the second one?" "The second couldn't handle the summoning." "What? Are you sure this is your choice Naruto?" After thinking a long time, Naruto frowned and said, "I'll give it a try." Quickly, the Raikage said, "Okay, but we do this outside." Konoha. Sakura entered Hinata's apartment nervously and stood up, waiting for a chance to leave. Hinata came back from the kitchen and said, "Please sit down Sakura." Before Hinata took a seat next to Sakura, she saw a photo on the wall, smiled and quickly reflected on that day. Flashback, A.N. PLZ, before you read what's next, read the first paragraph of my A.N. at the beginning of this chapter. Naruto and Hinata were at a restaurant and have just finished eating, still at the table though. "Naruto-kun, thanks for the dinner," said Hinata. Naruto seemed happy but Hinata could tell he was having conflicts on the inside. "Is anything wrong?" "I'm fine. Listen Hinata. Yes, Naruto-kun? Hinata-chan. I want to say thanks for always believing in me. Oh well. Wait, Hinata. It's that, you were the first to actually notice me, to accept me, to acknowledge me, and for that, I can't do anything to show how thankful I am but what Naruto-kun? Sakura, I can't forget her. Naruto-kun, it's alright. Hinata was on the verge of tears but at that moment, Naruto hugged Hinata and said, Hinata-chan, I want you to know that you'll never be second best. I can never put you on a scale and judge you. After all this I love you as the sister I never had, and I hope you can consider me your brother, I'm sorry. Hinata, despite knowing she can't be with Naruto, she knew he considered her great. She knew he acknowledged her and cared for her. That was enough for her. Naruto-kun, I consider you a sibling as well. Don't be sorry. I understand. Naruto smiled and said, thank you Hinata-chan. On the way back to Hinata's house, Naruto could see a man who takes photos, and paid him to take one of he and Hinata. When the two reached Hinata's place, Naruto said slyly, you know, I'm sure Kiba would like to date you. Hinata grinned and said, I'll give him a shot. Good night Hinata-chan. Good night Naruto-kun. The two hugged one more time and parted. End flashback. The picture showed Naruto and Hinata together smiling under a tree which had birds in it. Returning back to reality, Hinata said, Sakura, please, tell me why Naruto left Konoha. Hinata, I don't want to say. Please Sakura, you are the only one I know who could understand. Hinata, as you know, the village hates Naruto. They treated him like dirt, and all he tried to do was help others. I wonder how he got Sasuke to return after he left, said Hinata. Hopping to loose the subject on Naruto's leaving, Sakura said, yes, Orochimaru, according to Sasuke, was weak for using most of his energy to prepare for entering Sasuke. Yes Sakura, but Naruto-kun endured the villagers for all his life. I'm not saying that he didn't want to stay because of them but I believe there was something more. Naruto always had something to love about this place. Sakura was in a tight spot. Slowly the truth was coming out. Hinata, may we talk another time? Please Sakura, I need to know. She can't hold it in. Sakura had to tell her, she had the right to know. Hinata, the day Naruto returned, from the Sasuke retrieval mission. Do you remember? Of course. I was mad that we couldn't bring Sasuke back. On the mission, Naruto injured Sasuke and yet he still got away. Did Naruto leave to find Sasuke? No Hinata. You know that Naruto would have come back with Sasuke if he left for that reason. Then why? It's my fault. Hinata stood confused, dumbfounded. I'm sorry Sakura, I didn't catch that. Hinata, Naruto tried to help, he got me a gift. I was naive, and thought Naruto was the same stupid kid he used to be, and I destroyed his present. I knocked him down. Hinata didn't take time to register what Sakura said. Using her gentle fist attack style, Hinata slapped Sakura across the cheek and shouted, Naruto was never stupid you bitch. Sakura spat out blood and touched her cheek, healing it in the process. You're the stupid one Sakura. You went with the flow of girls who drooled over the traitor Sasuke. Through which you never cared to see how great other people were. Naruto loved you and in return you hurt him. Sakura took another hit from Hinata. She deserved it. For all Sakura knew, she was probably going to slap herself later. You never treat someone like that. You were Naruto's special person he'd do anything for and you crushed him. Spitting out more blood, Sakura healed her wound and Hinata shoved a napkin into her. Go now. The meeting starts in 45 minutes. Sakura left and ran up to her apartment crying. When inside her home, Sakura cried under her pillow until she was too dry to let out tears. The clock showed there was only 5 more minutes until the meeting will begin. Looking in the mirror, she thought, I don't deserve to cry, and there's nothing else to say. Hinata said it all. Taking the stress of her face with medical ninjutsu, Sakura looked regular again and left her apartment. Sand Village. The Council of the Sand were shuffling papers around when Kankuro ran in and handed a folder to the leader of the council. Right when he finished reading, Gaara entered with 3 sand ninjas, one of which was Temari. Kage-sama is the Naruto spoken of here, the Jinchuruki of the Leaf Village. Yes, he's been missing for around a month now. He also killed Orochimaru, the S-class missing nin. Everyone in the room started talking and one asked, do you know what this means? Gaara for once was clueless and shook his head. The leader stood up and said, Kage-sama, the Akatsuki who attacked you a year ago, They can overthrow the village now. We and the leaf are in danger. Why's that now? Asked Gaara nervously. If you know, one of the reasons the Akatsuki haven't overthrown the leaf is because they hold a Jinchuruki, but now they don't anymore. Then why don't they attack our village? Because we are allies with the leaf. So, what does this have to do with Orochimaru? The Akatsuki have been struggling with Orochimaru for room to attack villages. Because Orochimaru was alive, he would interfere with their plans. Do you know where any Jinchuruki remain? Kasage-sama, said a council member in charge of connections with other villages. Yes, what is it? As it seems, the Akatsuki have destroyed the small village of the shore earlier this year, shortly after your rescue. Then they also attacked the village of the forest. What does this have to do with anything? Asked Kankuro. There are two things. 1. If the Akatsuki learn of Naruto's absence, they may attack the village. What's the other? If the Akatsuki wanted to overthrow the village, they would need a strong weapon, which brings us to the second theory. 2. The Akatsuki have taken your Ichibi Shukaku demon Gaara, so chances are that they attacked the other villages to obtain more Jinchuruki. We believe they're missing 3 of the Jinchuruki, one of which is Naruto's Biju. Gaara sat down and said, then first priority, alert the leaf. Second, I want the missing in action book updated to have Naruto Uzumaki in it from the leaf. And third, we need to do research on where the 3 other Jinchuruki may be, so we can protect them. As well, of course, Naruto is one of them. All the council nodded in agreement and already started working on their assigned plan. This may stir up a war, said Gaara. Brother, do you think we should visit the leaf? Gaara closed his eyes and said, Tamari, you and Kankuro will be able to go to the leaf, but I must stay here and protect the village if attacked. But do you really think they'd attack us? Gaara cuckolded, I'm not taking any chances. How long do you think it would take them to gather up another Biju? Asked Kankuro. I would estimate around a year. It takes many months to capture just one Biju. Do you think they'd get Naruto? Asked Tamari worriedly. If Naruto stays a missing ninja, yes, I hope otherwise. When do we head to the leaf? You'll be picked up by Konoha ninjas and be escorted to the leaf. I'm going to my office to send a messenger bird. Earlier in Konoha, Sakura made it right on time to Tsunade's room, and before she could enter, Tsunade said, whatever said in this room stays in the room or you might be killed. Understand? Sakura nodded and entered the room. The whole gang was inside murmuring, and when Sakura entered, they silenced. Alright everybody, this meeting must be held secret because I'm doing this against the council's permission. As you all know, it's the Hokage who assigns missions. Everyone nodded in approval. Well, I plan to pair each of you up with one person and each will be sent to an ally country of the leaf. The council plans to put Naruto in the bingo book, but we can go to our allies and have them put Naruto under missing in action. Then there will be a greater chance of Naruto's survival. What are the pairings? Asked Ino. Okay, first of all, Sasuke and Tenten, you two are headed to the Wave Village. Neji and Ino, you two are headed to the Star Village. Choji and Shino, you two are headed to the Waterfall Village. Kiba, Hinata, you go to the Rain Village. Sakura and Lee, you go to the Snow Village. The snow, despite having no ninja, could be a good place for refuge if we go under enemy attack. Last of all, Mace and Shikamaru, you two must head to the sand and pick up a couple of sand nin as well as speak to the case cage. Is that all? Asked Shino. No, wait a moment. He'll arrive. Suddenly appearing in a puff of smoke, a man with spiky white hair and an unusual headband said, I'm here. So Jiraiya, what's going on? Has the contract been acting up lately? No, Naruto's smarter than I thought. He knows I can figure out where he is if he summons a frog. Who is this? Asked Neji. Oh, I'm sorry. This here is Naruto's old sensei, a Sannin. Everyone gaped in amazement, wondering how Naruto could have obtained a Sannin for a sensei. Hello everyone, I'm Jiraiya. Sakura was already familiar with him, but the others were still observing. Jiraiya shrugged and said, all you kids, I got something for all of you. Jiraiya took out the contract for summoning and did a jutsu to create small pocket orbs. Each of you take one. What are these things for? They're no weapon, said Tenten. They're more like device to track Naruto. The orbs shined blue, and then Neji said, it's locking onto Naruto's blood signature. You used the Naruto's blood used for the contract you're holding. Jiraiya nodded and said, exactly. You see, when that orb shines blue, you aren't even close to Naruto. When it shines red, Naruto is nearby. Jiraiya then chuckled, and if it's yellow, you'd be stupid not to see him. Everyone strapped the orb to their belts and then Tsunade said, "That's all there is to talk about. You are all dismissed." Outside, Mace left into an alley and summoned a messenger bird. Taking off the orb from his belt, Mace smirked and tied it to the bird. After attaching a note to the bird's foot that he wrote a while ago, Mace said to himself, the Akatsuki could use this to find the boy. Cloud Village. The Raikage found a safe place to test Naruto's new summoning animal. They reached their training grounds and Naruto signed the scroll. Careful Naruto, this summoning is dangerous. The first person who tried to summon the tigers were accepted, but when the second one tried to pass the test, we had to rebuild the scroll room. How was the first guy like? Asked Naruto. He was stubborn. No one really knows how he got the good side of the tigers. As I said, old man, I'll do my best. Doing the hand seals of Nezumi, Ohatsuji, Usubuda, and Tora, Naruto shouted, summoning no jutsu. Rat, ram, boar, and tiger. Before the smoke could clear, Naruto heard an ear-shattering roar. After clasping his ears together, Naruto was tackled by a red blur and hit a tree behind him. What the hell? Shouted Naruto, spitting out some blood. Walking up to him, an average-sized, red tiger with silver stripes growled and asked, "Are you the one who summoned me?" "Yeah, who are you?" asked Naruto, brushing off some dust from his clothing. "My name's Liger." The Raikage stepped up to Naruto but was stopped when Naruto said, "Whatever happens, don't help me." Nodding, the Raikage took Sarah a couple of meters away, a distance enough for Naruto to be comfortable. "Alright, I'll summon you some other time," said Naruto, taking a deep breath. Before he could finish, Liger pounced on Naruto and opened his mouth as though about to bite him and said, "I'm not going anywhere until you can prove that you're good enough to summon me." Naruto threw Liger off of him and asked, "What do I need to do?" "You need to defeat Me." Far away, Sarah asked, "What's going on?" "Naruto is being tested." "But why? I didn't have to go through any test." "Naruto's summoning is different than yours, Sarah. Some summoning spirits have standards, and others don't." Liger lunged at Naruto and stretched his claw out. Striking Naruto in the arm, Liger knocked him away. Healing the wound with Kyuubi's chakra, Naruto stood back up and charged a Rasengan. Liger pounced on Naruto again and whispered, "No help from the fox." Oh shit. That's all for now. If you enjoy, then please like, share and do comments.